This is within the Sharia about how Muslims must regard Muhammad. So this is the sin or the crime of not loving the Prophet more than all people. Muslims are to revere Muhammad more than all people, right? This is in the Reliance of the Traveler, section P75.2. In the PDF, it's page 718. And it says here, the Prophet said, none of you believes until I am more beloved to you than your wife, your child, yourself, and all people. Now, if he's just a prophet like Moses, Jews are not commanded to love Moses more than their wife, more than their child, more than their life, more than their family, more than their mother and their father. But Muslims are commanded within Sharia to love Muhammad more. Thou shalt love the Lord thy Muhammad with all thy heart and all thy soul, and be willing to die and kill for him. Understand?
Oh, yeah.
This really puts it into perspective when we start saying that Muhammad is Allah and Allah is Muhammad. According
I can jump
Quran.
onto that topic for you too.
Yeah, well, this is a great illustration of it. I mean, there's all kinds of different instances of it, but this hits it right to the T.
Yeah, I'll bring you something later on that score. So understand. So Muhammad is perfect. Muhammad is considered the perfect man. And to claim that Muhammad is less than perfect, which means that all of those instances of Muhammad doing horrible things, when you say them to Muslims, Muslims must deny them because it is illegal. It is the death penalty. It is ridda, it is kufr, it is apostasy for them to say that Muhammad was not perfect. So they must deny their own sources. Do you see the problem here?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so on that, let me go to one more section that I want to show. Darn it. There it is. Okay. I want to try and find... Oh, went too far. Oh, you know what? I will find it. Actually, this is where I need to find it. Find advanced search. And there we go. Okay, now this is legal homicide in Islam. Okay, this is legal homicide. So this is, in other words, Islam legalizes certain forms of murder. Right. Now, this is section 01.0, who is subject to retaliation for injurious crimes. Retaliation is exactly what you think, eye for an eye. Okay, blood for blood. Right, but notice, it says here, okay, the blood of a Muslim man who testifies that there is no God but Allah and that I am the messenger of Allah is not lawful to shed unless he is someone who abandons his religion and the Muslim community, in which case it is then legal to kill him. But let me continue, right? Now, retaliation is obligatory. Okay, to retaliate is obligatory, and there are cases of justifiable homicide, such as lawful retaliation. So this is the religion of peace, which allows justifiable legal homicide. Okay, and the following are not subject to retaliation. So in other words, if you hurt or kill these following groups of people, there is no legal penalty. There is no legal penalty for murdering the following groups of people within the law. A Muslim for killing a non-Muslim makes me feel better already. Right?
Yeah,
and notice,
yeah.
And Eric, if you can read the next
and right before that, it's it gives
Sorry?
the standard if you're mentally ill or you're a child. Okay, those are normal exceptions, but that second exception, a Muslim killing a non-Muslim, that's really powerful.
Yeah.
Okay, number 3, a Jewish or Christian subject
This
of the
one?
Islamic State
Yeah,
for
yeah.
killing an apostate of Islam, because the subject of the state is under a protection, while killing an apostate from Islam is without consequences. That's where we were talking about in reliance to we're still in reliance to travel, but there's no indemnity placed on people. A father or mother, or the fathers or mothers, for killing their offspring or offspring's offspring. This is your honors killing. This is the Rifka Berry type thing that we've seen here in the United States. So
It is
it's
legal.
right there. It's completely legal. It's completely authorized.
If I could chime in here real quick, this one's interesting, point number 4, because I've got this paper from Academia EDU. I can find it for you, but I think I read it on the show a couple of years ago. Where there are actually cases, what this guy did was he went and he actually studied case law, in the Ottoman Empire, in the what do you call it? It was three different caliphates over so many hundreds of years. And anyway, he studied actual case law of what happens, the stuff that was recorded, what happened to people when they went to court. Well, he actually found that in Ottoman Turkey in the 1600s, there were cases, okay, where a father would kill the mother, okay, and then kill the child, and then nobody could testify. No, I'm sorry, the father would kill the mother-in-law, okay, and then kill the child, and then nobody could testify against him because he was the head of the household. Yeah, and they cited this. They cited this very thing because there was nobody to testify against him, and he committed no crime because the only one that could testify about the killing of the mother-in-law was the daughter, and the only one that could testify about killing the son was the father. So therefore, you know what I mean? There was no one could find him guilty of anything. And they actually cited this. I mean,
Wow.
this is horrific law, dude. Yeah.
That is a practice called hiyal. That's a practice. The name of that practice, I'll put it up here. It's a very okay. That is called hiyal. Okay? This is called legal trickery. Hiyal. This practice infects and infests everything in Islam. There is nothing not touched by this. Now, I know that everybody talks about, and this word needs to be forgotten. This is one word that people need to forget. Taqiyya. You need to use the word hiyal. Taqiyya is a subset. It's a minor subset of deception in Islam. Now, I come across a lot of Christians, quote unquote Christians, who insist that no, we have to talk about Islam like this. No, we mustn't talk about that, Lord. No, let's stick with the standard narrative. Let's talk about taqiyya, because you see, they want us to focus here with our blinkers on and fail to see the really important, correct, detailed doctrine and laws, which you'll never find. If you're looking for taqiyya, you'll read 3 sentences about it and it becomes a thought terminating cliche. Someone goes taqiyya and you go, except there's a whole lot of detail that you need to know, which you will never learn if all you're looking at is taqiyya. When you go to hiyal, you start to see how detailed the Islamic doctrine of lying is. It is extensive.
What else does that include? What other practices does he allow? Because you said that taqiyya is just a subset of it. What would be another example?
You can lie for pretty much any reason at any time for anything. It's broad, believe me. Now, technically, they give you rules, but you see the exception. See, Islamic law you'll find very often, if we go through Islamic law in detail, you'll find it'll say, do not kill women and children. Okay, so you'll read the sentence, do not kill women and children. And the very next sentence will say, except in the following 97,000 cases where you might have to kill women and children.
Right.
Okay, because every single Islamic law has an exception. Every single Islamic law has a loophole. Hiyal creates those loopholes, creates those exceptions. There is not a single law that does not have a loophole or an exception. Understand? So no matter what law they give you, I guarantee you, if you look, you will find an exception. And they will often mention the exceptions right after they've mentioned the law. And the exceptions override the law. It's quite obvious. The exceptions override the law.
Well, coming on that, it's funny because we were discussing with a mom from Texas a while ago, because he was all in favor. He actually said he would participate in stoning an adulterous woman to death. Now, keep in mind that his wife did cheat on him and sent him to jail for like almost a year for beating her up. But so he's got issues. But point being is this: when questioned on this, he later realized that he said something he shouldn't have said. And a couple of weeks later, when we questioned on this, he actually said, "Well, no, you gotta have 4 male witnesses to actually see the penetration." And I'm thinking, what kind of a freak could you be? You know what I mean? Here you are, your wife cheating on you. You're gonna call over your 4 male friends to say, "Hey, get up close and personal and see my wife cheating." I mean, that makes absolutely no sense. So even the exceptions, at least in this case, are completely ridiculous. You know what I mean? Where is the justice at that? No, seriously, I'm not saying you should kill adulterous women. No, of course not. But think about that. Where is the justice? If your wife is cheating on you and you can get no justice unless you see unless you invite 4 of your friends over to actually witness the act. I mean, how humiliating could that possibly be? I mean, this is insane. This is garbage law, simply put. I
Oh,
mean,
you're going to
yeah.
see how garbage this gets in just a minute, but notice here the law on stoning. If the offender is someone with the capacity to remain chaste, in other words, not to have sex, right? And they decide to have sex outside of marriage, right? Or outside of their marriage or whatever, then he or she is stoned to death. This is the law. Okay. But notice this section on the bottom. Eric, if you can read for me this little bit here.
A person who is not considered to have the capacity
Oops.
to remain chaste if he or she has only had intercourse in a marriage that is invalid or is, oh my God, or is prepubescent at the time of marital intercourse. Do you want me to read the rest of it? Or is someone insane at the time of marital intercourse who has subsequently regains their sanity prior to committing adultery?
Yeah, so I'm going to segue into the concept of prepubescent sex in Islam, which is part of marriage and divorce. So let me go here. Yeah, so Islam may or may not be a faith. In fact, Islam defines itself as a deen. A deen is a totalitarian political system according to Islam's own definition. Okay, according to its own sources, it is not a religion. Okay, it is a totalitarian political system on par with fascism, communism, Nazism. It's very
okay.
very
Can you expand on that word, Dean? Because I was watching a video that you did with Adam Seeker. I don't know when you made it, but you were talking about the Dean.
Yes, I can. So
be a little more specific on what that is.
There. Okay, so let's do that first then. So let me do that for you. Oops.
Because I was under the understanding that that's just how you live your life. What is how do you live your life, and what is the example?
But you see, you have been a victim. You have been a victim of their dawah. Their dawah is propaganda. You've been taught to see Islam in a very particular way. You see,
well, they talk about me on the Dean show, so I thought, well, I ought to know what the heck it is.
They've been teaching Muslims have been teaching Christians to see Islam in a very particular way for a very long time, the wrong way, which suits their purposes. If you go into the doctrine of lying, you'll discover that confusion serves the deen. But let's have a quick run through this, and I'll be very quick, and I'll go into the doctrine of marriage and divorce with children and sex with little babies, because that unfortunately is legal. The deen is a socio-political system. Now this is taken from an Islamic website. This guy was so kind to do all the research and provide the resources and so on, which I was very grateful for. And then I did a couple of shows on it, and the website disappeared. The article went away, but I backed it up, fortunately, and so anyway, but it's still, someone else made a similar article, took the same resources, and that's still on the internet. But deen embodies perspectives on existence, life, society, and socio-political system. This is not just religion. Right? Islam is a complete and competing ideology and a system of life and society. Right? This is not a personal relationship with Jesus. Right? This is a complete, competing legal and political system that competes with Western democracy. It is a political, ideological system. For Muslims, Islam emerges as a superior ideology, towering over other isms and the resultant socio-political systems. It is a political framework for managing mankind's affairs. Notice not Pakistani's affairs, mankind, the whole planet. Let's have a look. Linguistic meaning of deen. The famous classical Arabic dictionaries, the two most famous classical Arabic dictionaries are the Al-Qamus al-Muhit, which was the basis for Lane's lexicon, which is a very famous academic work, and the Lisan al-Arab, the most famous of the Islamic dictionaries. It's 20 volumes. And these both state that there are four meanings of deen. The first meaning is subjugation and dominance, so which includes ownership, government, administrative or legislative authority. So notice ownership and government and administrative or legislative authority. So this is a legal system, a legislative authority. 2, deen means obedience and bondage. Bondage is slavery. Subordination and dominance under the power of others, that is subjugation, that is political power under someone who dominates you, which implies violence.
And they wonder why they have such a thing called tyranny on a regular basis in Islamic culture.
Correct, but it's legal. For instance, it's legal in Islamic law for a ruler to take power through a coup, through a violent coup. It's considered legal. As long as he conforms to Islamic law in his actions afterwards, the coup is legal.
Yes.
So rules and regulations, doctrine, ideology, tradition. Now notice here, or religion, not and religion, or religion is optional. See? And the final one is reward and repayment, justice and accountability. So let's have a closer look. So the first meaning is subjugation or dominance, administrative or legislative authority to put pressure to be obedient, to force you, to command the right and forbid the wrong, using power to enslave or to make one obedient, dhimmis. You enslave the dhimmis. In Arabic, dintuhum fadanu means I subjugated them, so they obeyed me. Dintuhu means I ruled or governed upon him, that is political. Thus the word dayan is used to indicate a person who dominates and rules over a state. This is not religion. The state, a nation, or a tribe. This is political leadership. The second meaning is obedience and bondage, subordination and domination by someone, and bearing humiliation under subjugation. That's dimitude. So under subjugation and the power of others, mean Muslims. The obedient tribe is called Qawmun Da'inun, and here ad-din does not mean religion. It means obedience to the state. I'll stop with that. Your thoughts, Eric, and others.
No, that's it's an expansion of what I thought the term meant. It's not just not a personal deen, but it's an overall arching.
Yeah, but understand, they
application
wanted
of
you
it.
to believe that. They provided you with a mind with one of those thought-terminating cliches. Deen, it's a beautiful religion. See?
Well, I didn't believe it was for a second, but yeah.
Yeah. Great.
We get it.
Great.
Well, that's
So-
interesting.
Sorry?
That's interesting. So their dean, when they're talking about dean, they are talking about their obedience, okay, to whatever this thing is, whether you want to call it religion, whether you want to call it political system, or even if they give their bagger or whatever it's called, bid'ah, to the caliph or whoever that may be. Their dean is their obedience to that. That's
Yeah.
very interesting.
It's
Oh,
a
wow.
communal. It's communist. It's a collective. It's a collective, and you follow the collective. There's no individuality.
That's
Yeah,
why
well,
it's
look at the
also
way
known
they
as the
dress.
board.
Yeah, so the board, the black cube. But no, look at the way they dress. It's pretty much all the same. You know what I mean? I mean, they're different. White shirt, white robe, white whatever, black. You know what I mean? There's no real emphasis on any uniqueness. Now, true, a lot of Muslim women they'll make the hijab look very pretty and stuff like that. And they'll do different colors and things like that.
In the West.
But yeah, in the West, but for the most part, it's you know what I mean. It's just it's all one thing, one ummah, as they like to say.
Correct. Yep. So I'll do this section, and then we can open it up to questions if you guys have. Well, I can take questions and do things, but rather than necessarily go through a lot of academic stuff or go through a lot of historical stuff, both of which I can do, I thought it's interesting just to show this is the law. This is what it is at the end of the day, and this is the impact it's going to have on you. But look, we need to ask two questions: what are the laws? Where are they written? Now we've been looking at what the laws are. Right, I've been reading the laws, and I've been showing you where they're written in these different Sharia manuals. Now, understand, there is no one Sharia manual with everything. You have to cross-reference constantly, and it's deliberately written like that. It's confusing. It's incredibly confusing if you don't know. It's taken me years to untangle this. It's taken me years to untangle this knot, right? To realize the structure, how it is. I'm probably the only person. I am the only person I know that knows this, who's not an imam. Right, so you have to cross-reference. They will say things that are so subtle, and you're like, oh, hold on, that name, I need to go reference that in another. These scholars, they'll mention the scholar's name randomly somewhere. They'll mention the name of a book, and you're like, that's where the rest of it is. They finish in this book, and they jump to the next book, and you got to go there, and then you finish in that book, and you jump to another book. That's like that. It's constantly like that. Okay, now, right. So I'm going to talk about Quran 65:4. Right, so please, this is going to be disturbing. This is going to be very difficult to hear. So please, children, you may not want them necessarily listening to this. So yeah. Now, Pakistani courts. Pakistan is the world's second largest Islamic country after Malaysia, and We're going to look at what the Pakistani courts, which is an Islamic country. Now, two Muslims one of them a Pakistani, told me after I discussed this information with them, Pakistanis are not real Muslims. Pakistan is not a real Muslim country. They're not proper Muslims. Okay, that's like 200 plus million Muslims. They're not real Muslims, whatever. So.
And who says this?
A Muslim said it to me, a Pakistani Muslim, and another one after I showed them this information.
Okay.
They threw all of Pakistan under the bus.
Wow. Why did they do that?
Because you're going to see in a moment why they did that. So, Pakistani courts in Islamic law and Quran 65:4. Now, notice it says here, let me just take a sip of water. This is from a paper written by two law professors in Pakistan. On the basis of the exploratory analysis of the reported cases, right? This is to do with marriage with minors and so on, and other issues. The following books are found to be relied upon more frequently by the courts to derive what is an authentic point of Islamic law on a particular issue. They mentioned two books. One of those is the Hedaya, translated by Charles Hamilton. We saw the Hedaya earlier discussing amputation. We mentioned that. They also mentioned this book, The Digest of Muhammadan Law by Neil Bailey. I'm just going to go there for you. This is the Digest of Muhammadan Law, and we're going to be looking at this little section here in a moment. Okay. So, but let's have a quick look. So this is the scan of the book. Google is nice enough to give us these things. And you can see here, it discusses, my computer's taking a moment to update. I'm not sure why. Okay. Notice, okay, it says here, let me just zoom in here. Okay, you know what? Skip this because my machine is deciding to act up, but Digest of Muhammadan Law by Neil Bailey. Okay, so this is the second most used book in the Pakistani court system to discuss Islamic law, right? Let's continue. This paper is called The Genealogical Analysis of Islamic Law Books Relied on in the Courts of Pakistan by a full professor, Shahbaz Ahmed Chima, and Sami Wazir Khan, assistant professor at Law College, University of the Punjab. They both worked at the same college at one time, university. Let's continue. This is the Digest of Muhammadan Law. And Eric, if you can read what's highlighted in yellow for me.
Okay, fourth, when a man has had sexual intercourse with a girl under the age of 9 years and has ruptured the parts, it is unlawful for him to have further connection with her, but she is not released from her ties if connected with him by marriage or slavery. If no rupture has taken place, the prohibition is not incurred according to the most valid opinion.
So if you do not rip her vagina open to the anus, if you do not tear that skin, then have at it.
Okay, now could this be interpreted as rupturing the hymen? I mean, as opposed to
no, because we're going to go into further depth on this. This is definitely not. This is not. You see, because if you rupture the hymen, why would you be forbidden from having further sex with her?
I'm just trying to cut him some slack is all I'm trying to do here.
True,
trying to give him the benefit of the doubt. But
so we're going to cross-reference.
We've been hanging out with Kenny Bomer too long. Oh, it doesn't mean that. It means this over here.
Well, we're going to cross-reference.
Out of your head there, Eric.
Yeah. So we're going to cross-reference with other Islamic law texts of equal authority, right? And notice you can have sex with her if she is your slave. And of course, it says explicitly under 9 years. Let's continue. So this is the reliance of the traveler here. This is Quran 65:4. As for your women who have despaired of further menstruating, if you're in doubt, their waiting period shall be 3 months, and those who have not menstruated yet. Okay, great. A waiting period is obligatory for a woman divorced after intercourse. A woman divorced after intercourse, whether the husband and wife are prepubescent, or both have reached puberty, or one has reached puberty and the other has not. Intercourse means copulation. So your thoughts on that, guys?
That's as sick as the day is long. We call people who practice these type of things. If they practice these, this is, you said, if they practice it in Pakistan is one thing, but you bring that to the West, you bring that to the United States, they throw you in jail and prison for these things for extended periods of time. And once you get into jail in these prisons, when they throw them into you, you're considered the lowest of the low. And then this is supposed to be some type of permissible thing to do. What I mean,
This is legal. This is holy. This is right. This is moral.
As sick as it comes. It really is. I don't see how you can get any sicker application of something that is supposed to be affiliated in any way, shape, or form with any type of religious practice at all or religious ruling. This is not justice. This is injustice, is what this is.
You understand why Sharia is a secret?
Yeah.
This blows the lids off of it. Yeah.
So let's look at the next law here. When a woman has been made love to, and they use the word woman loosely here. So you've made love to a woman. She must repeat the ghusl is the purification, right? The purification bath, if two conditions exist. So she has to repeat the purification if two conditions exist, that she's not a child. So if she's not a child, she needs to repeat it. If she's a child, it's okay, don't worry about it. Just don't have to clean her up. But rather old enough to have sexual gratification. So in other words, the child doesn't have sexual gratification. It's all about your gratification, not hers. Understand?
Oh, yeah, pedophile.
Correct. And a full indemnity is also paid for injuries which paralyze these members, or for injuring, right, the peritoneal wall between vagina and rectum so that they become one aperture. In other words, you can fill in your own blanks here, right?
Oh, yeah, we get it. So there it is, Eric. Jeez.
Right. This is not the hymen, Eric.
Yeah, I remember this from our discussion on Saturday. Yeah, this is
right. So now
go back to what?
Sure.
Okay. So this is I'm just getting the reference from Reliance the Traveler on that. Page 592. Got it. Thank you.
This I actually cite in my book, The Cancer Civilization Jihad, on this section. Yeah.
Yeah, it's disgusting.
This is just it's horrific.
Yeah.
I don't have the section that it's below that you have 04.
Yeah, I can give you a few more references. There's across different books. There's more. Let's have a look at this one. Now, this book called Heavenly Ornaments, also called Jewels of Paradise, is a very famous book in places like India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, and so on. This is what the Pakistani/Muslim Indian community gives to brides, gives to women before they get married, and here's how to be a good wife. Read this book. So it's a very famous book. Okay, it's a favorite with the people of the Indian subcontinent, as well as the Indian Muslim diaspora all over the world. It is a comprehensive handbook of Islamic law, Islamic rituals, and Islamic morals. Let's read their morals. Let's have a look at this moral sickness. It's called the Bahishti Zevar, Heavenly Ornaments. Okay, there are multiple volumes. And Eric, if you can read me the first one, please.
Sure. So if the person has sexual intercourse with a minor girl, ghusl will not be obligatory on her. But in order to get her into the habit, she should be made to bathe.
Minor girl. This means prepubescent. This is a minor.
I'm sorry, but where's the bleep button? No, I mean, I knew this stuff was bad, but no, this is bad. I mean, seriously, think about this. So, yeah.
Why doesn't law enforcement get this? This is the part that kills me.
I know. Yeah.
Well,
and
no,
not have it in our country.
I'm just trying to figure this out. So, you know what? Okay. No, I'm trying to figure out why the girl doesn't have to clean herself up after the male pervert has sex with her. But then what's the rationalization with this? But I'm thinking, well, guess what? She can't get pregnant. So in other words, the washing for the woman would be to clean that out so you don't get her pregnant. Okay, and in this case, don't worry about it. She can't get pregnant because she's a child. Well, you know what I mean? I can't. I don't get this. This is so way beyond sick and perverted. No wonder why when Muslims were trying, some Muslims, I should say, in Pakistan, I don't know if you remember this a few years ago, they were trying to get all this crap off the law books. They were trying to make it, the girl had to be at least 16, okay, to be married and have sex. And the Muslims rioted and said, no, you're taking away our Islamic identity. Remember that? I mean, no.
Yes. That's only a year and a half ago, I think.
Yeah, this is, whoa, man. This is beyond perverse.
So if you can read the next one, Eric.
Sure. If a woman is underage...
No, is a woman underage?
No,
mean,
that's a great point.
Be a girl.
Not a woman.
It's
Well,
kind
no,
of a
that's interesting. What does it mean to be underage in Islam then? I mean, if you can have sex with a pretty pubescent girl, then what's the age if they're underage for what?
Well,
I mean, come
Right.
on.
I think
Well,
this
it
is
goes-
interesting wording because
It is.
the
Mhm.
terminology minor girl, what do they consider a minor?
Okay, what it goes on to make a definition of this though, or provide a greater parameter. Okay, so if
So
a
there are
woman is
legal
un-
definitions. There are legal definitions for this. Technically, according to many Islamic law manuals, puberty is achieved at 15. For many of them. Okay. Now, of course, look, I'll show you something else after this. Okay, I'll show you something else, which is from mainstream Islam QA. I'll show you something else, but minor in this case would mean, I mean, they've made it clear in other sources, less than 9. Now, I will show you that it states there is no lower age limit, and make that clear. There is no lower age limit. There is none.
Who was that guy that
Infants.
was on that they recorded saying that in the park over in the
what, Speaker's Corner?
Yeah, Speaker's
Oh yeah,
Corner.
it was Muhammad Hajab said that if
Yeah.
the Quran provides no minimum age. I remember.
And this
that,
is,
yeah.
I can verify that for you. So yeah, if you can just, in the interest of time, just finish number 1, please, and then we'll.
Okay, so if a woman is underage, but not so small that if one has, God, this is hard. If one has intercourse with her, there is a fear of the vaginal tissues tearing to such an extent that the vagina and anus will virtually come together. Then, by the insertion of the glands of the penis into her vaginal ghusl, will become fard
Obligatory.
on the man. Okay, obligatory on the man if he has reached the age of puberty. However, if there is the aforementioned fear in a very minor girl, then mere insertion of the penis does not render ghusl obligatory.
Whoa,
even
wait
right
a
this-
second. Hold on. What they're talking about here is something called fistula, where in other words, when
Yes.
you get turned up, no, obviously, I'm sorry, you can't control, well, ladies, okay, I would even probably say men too, if that ever happens. You cannot control your bladder. I mean, you got to wear a diaper. So in this case, the urine and feces, they don't have to clean that up? What kind of, I mean, the blood, I mean, seriously, you're going to split her open.
Well, no, it's the second. It's this. There's one wash, and then they don't have to do it twice. Is what it comes down to.
What kind of? Yeah.
This
go
is
ahead.
Islam. Understand, this is Islamic law. This is the law for eternity. This is the final interpretation of the Quran and Hadith. This is taken from the Hadith of Aisha. This is the final understanding.